From a string of impressive knockouts to an explosive comeback fight that demonstrated his iron jaw, these are the real reason fighters are scared of Henry Cejudo. Henry the Messenger Cejudo is an American mixed martial artist and Olympic gold medalist in freestyle wrestling. Cejudo had held both the UFC Bantamweight Championship and Flyweight Championship, making him one of the few fighters in UFC history to hold titles in two weight classes simultaneously. Despite his small stature of 5 feet and 4 inches, Cejudo is known for his impressive striking skills. Possessing both speed and impressive power, Cejudo can maintain a relentless pace in the octagon, and given his background in wrestling, he's also a definite force to be reckoned with on the ground. Cejudo has fought his way through some formidable fighters in the UFC like Dominic Cruz and TJ Dillashaw. Cejudo made a name for himself when fighting with WFF and Gladiator Challenge. It was in these organizations where he would first show the MMA world what he was really capable of, winning his first 4 fights by submissions and TKOs. A standout knockout came in 2013 when Cejudo knocked out Sean Henry Barnett in the final seconds of the first round. After his time with the WFF and Gladiator Challenge, Cejudo moved over to LFC and got 2 more wins under his belt, making him stand at an impressive 6-0 record by the time UFC president Dana White noticed him. On December 13, 2014, Cejudo made his UFC debut at UFC on Fox 13. This was quite an impressive accomplishment. The UFC is the biggest MMA organization in the world, and Cejudo had landed a contract with them a mere 18 months into his professional fighting career. This, of course, put many curious eyes on him. Come his first bout, Cejudo went on to beat Dustin Kimura by unanimous decision. He showcased his impressive cardio, iron jaw, and powerful fists. But he couldn't secure the knockout or submission that everyone was hoping for. That doesn't mean the fight wasn't entertaining though. Cejudo's ability to push through adversity shone through, and he showcased a fierce set of skills. A set of skills that he continued to boast in his next bouts. Cejudo won his next 3 fights by unanimous or split decisions, and then go on to suffer 2 losses. But this is where he really started to shine. After suffering a devastating loss to Demetrius Johnson by some nasty knees to the body, Cejudo would also go on to lose his next fight by a split decision. But this only put more fire in his belly, and he came back stronger than ever. At UFC 215 in September 2017, Cejudo gave fight fans a glimpse of his glory days and knocked out Wilson Hayes in the second round of their intense matchup. You could see it right there when he won. A newly lit fire had been ignited. He was ready to become a warrior again. From there, Cejudo went on to win his next 5 bouts, with 3 of them coming by way of TKO, and his most impressive of the 3 came at UFC Fight Night 143. After becoming the Bantamweight champion, Cejudo had TJ Dillashaw hot on his trail looking to take the belt off him. But that didn't exactly go to plan for Dillashaw. Feeling rather cocky, Dillashaw came down in weight to decrown Cejudo from his title, but Cejudo quickly stopped him with a flurry of punches 32 seconds into the first round. Shortly after, Dillashaw was issued a 2-year ban from the anti-doping agency after taking a substance called EPO. When his 2-year ban was up, Dillashaw demanded a rematch, but Cejudo had been there and done that and wasn't hearing any of it. When asked if he would take a rematch, Cejudo told reporters, "I'll never fight him again, dude," and went on to say how Dillashaw is far from trustworthy and it doesn't matter how much money they throw at him. TJ is bad news, saying, "In my eyes, TJ, there's bad intentions, literally. There's no desire for me to want the fight. I've always been drug-free." So instead of stepping back into the octagon with Dillashaw, Cejudo went toe-to-toe with Marlon Moraes at UFC 238. Not only was he looking to prove himself with another TKO, he had also stepped up a weight class to featherweight to claim his next belt. Talk about confidence. And ladies and gentlemen, confidence works. Cejudo defeated Moraes and joined the small club of 2 division champions after scoring a 3rd-round TKO win. But the fight wasn't all one-sided. Moraes gave as good as he got. Moraes quickly established distance from Cejudo early in the bout. His powerful kicks proved himself as the longer fighter, as Cejudo struggled to close the distance without taking multiple hits from Moraes. However, Cejudo found his feet in round 2. After Moraes kept chipping away at Cejudo's legs from a safe distance, Cejudo shot in and found the tie clincher. He safely closed the distance, turning the bout into an all-out brawl, and Moraes simply couldn't perform the same while at such close range. Cejudo totally took over the second round from here, and he not only won the exchanges standing, but managed to force Moraes to the ground, where the victorious beatdown only hastened. By the time the third round came in, Cejudo gained a dominant position and laid down some brutal ground and pound until the fight was stopped. He'd done it again. Cejudo gave fans an exhilarating spectacle, stopped yet another fight, and was now the holder of 2 UFC titles. Despite his massive presence, it would take nearly a year for fight fans to see Cejudo step into the octagon again, but thankfully it was well worth the wait. On May 9, 2020, Cejudo squared off against Dominick Cruz. Dominick Cruz is easily one of the best bantamweight fighters in UFC history. With a fantastic record, the 2-time bantamweight champion has defeated notable opponents like Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw, Uriah Faber, and many others. In spite of this, he experienced multiple low points during his UFC career. He has ruptured both of his ACLs, as well as his quadriceps and shoulder, among other problems. The Dominator has persevered despite all the difficulties and has always been able to recover. After his injuries forced him to step out of MMA for nearly 4 years from 2016 to 2020, Cruz eventually made his UFC return against Henry Cejudo at UFC 249. Cruz was looking to make a triumphant return to MMA and end Cejudo's unstoppable run, and while he came pretty close a few times throughout the bout, Cejudo came out on top. While Dominick Cruz had a substantial height and reach advantage over Cejudo, Cejudo surprised many fight fans when he came out with a stellar game plan. He picked Cruz apart with heaps of powerful leg kicks in the first round. He also showcased impressive speed, not allowing Cruz to settle and strike from afar. Based off of Cejudo's game plan, Cruz tried to close the distance in the second round and threw some big strikes. Cejudo executed perfect defense and threw back some stunning counterhooks of his own. He then continued to pick the right moments to push the pace and bombard Cruz with a brutal flurry of strikes. Cruz kept himself standing, but in the final seconds of the round, Cejudo landed a nasty knee that sent Cruz crashing to the floor. Cejudo seized his moment and delivered huge ground and pound strikes until the fight was stopped. Cejudo has successfully defended his title and is now one of the biggest MMA stars in the world. So, what was next? Well, retirement. Shortly after the fight, Cejudo announced his retirement. But why would he do this at his peak? After speaking out on his YouTube channel, Cejudo said, "When you've accomplished everything, you've reached everything there is to do in sports, you know what you want to do? You want to relax and enjoy it." However, his time lying in the sun sipping margaritas didn't last long. Skip forward 3 years to May 6, 2023, Cejudo was ready to fight again. And fans were beyond excited. UFC 288 saw Cejudo face off against Aljamain Sterling in the main event. The much-anticipated matchup was exciting to say the least, an intense back and forth that proved Cejudo still has it. While Cejudo lost by a split decision, he has proven that he is still a formidable presence and could be around for a while longer. His iron chin and ability to push forward make him a force to be reckoned with. And it's fair to say that other fighters in his weight class better watch out, because he's definitely coming for them sometime soon. So, from a string of impressive knockouts to an explosive comeback fight that demonstrated his iron jaw, these were the real reason fighters are scared of Henry Cejudo.